welcome to the Instagram stories for Thursday, March 21st. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. There's a lot of Threads news to get into today, so this episode is primarily going to be Threads focused. The Threads team posted new on Threads, trending now, everything you need to know. We're making it easier for people in the US to see what people are talking about on Threads. You'll find trends in two places, the search page and the For You feed. Trending Now is all about conversations happening in real time, and they say that they're rolling out in the US starting today, so stay tuned. There are two sample screenshots that the Threads team posted. The first is a screenshot of the search page inside Threads showing Trending Now topics: Monday motivation, bull on tracks, delays trains, LA earthquake, AI productivity tools, and Mercury in retrograde, showing what sort of sample topics would be trending. Interestingly, it doesn't seem that these trending topics are entirely decided by users, but rather that Meta is influencing which topics show up on this Trending Now page. That does kind of fit with Threads' whole persona of being a more positive place than Twitter, so that kind of does make sense, but also, is it really a trending topic if Meta is the one deciding that it's trending? Something to think about. In other Threads news, the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, who I suppose is also the head of Threads, posted an update on Threads that they are testing a new way to give you more control over your experience on Threads. He goes on to explain that some people will now be able to swipe right on a post to like it or swipe left to show they're not interested. He posts that, "I hope this makes it easier for you to indicate if a post is relevant to your interests and to let him know what you think." I just want to pause and say that as someone who has never really swiped left or swiped right on anything because I have been married for far longer than dating apps have existed, the idea of swiping left or right on anything immediately makes me think of dating apps, even though I've never used one. Adam Mosseri posted some screenshots, which I will link to in the show notes so you can check it out. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Threads integration with the Fediverse. There's been some big progress on that, so stick around. And we're back. Okay, let's get into the Fediverse and Threads news. If you're not familiar with the Fediverse, it's short for Federated Universe, and it explains the concept that different social media platforms can both be independent and interconnected at the same time. Mastodon is a key social media platform that uses the protocol called ActivityPub. Threads will be using ActivityPub. I'll get to that in a second, but this concept is that it allows you to post and read on one social media platform, but share posts to other social media platforms that you are not on, and also receive updates from those platforms that you are not on whatever social media platform you are on. Okay, that's the concept. Now, Instagram engineer Peter Cottle gave a presentation on Threads in the Fediverse at a Fediforum event. It's a virtual event for decentralized social media enthusiasts. That's interesting, but I don't put myself in the category of decentralized social media enthusiast. Anyway, in this demo, Peter Cottle explains how Threads users will be able to opt in to Fediverse sharing and offered some insight into how Meta is thinking about its role in the Fediverse. There are some nuances to how this works, so I'm going to play a couple of minutes of him demonstrating it so you get an idea.
Okay, so this is a semi-live demo. So I think a lot of people are really interested to see like what our opt-in experience is. So I went ahead and recorded a little demo of that. So yeah, say we're on Threads and I decide to go to my settings over here and I can go to my account. And now there's this new row called Fediverse sharing. And I think it's actually kind of tricky for Threads because we have like 130 million people using it monthly, but a lot of people haven't heard of the Fediverse. They don't know what ActivityPub is, but we want to give them the ability to enter that kind of like experience. So we have to both explain the Fediverse and explain all the disclaimers and then make sure they feel good about the outcome they choose. So we kind of have this planetary analogy for the Fediverse. So we talk about how it's a bunch of different servers. It's an interconnected social network. You can choose whichever server you prefer. These planets are kind of talking to each other. We do require a few things. So you have to be a public profile to turn on Fediverse just because, the Fediverse is so public in nature. And then, we even talk about other servers, having different content standards and different, choices of how they moderate content. So this sounds intriguing. You can hit next, and then you get a bunch of different disclaimers. So in our beta, our current alpha right now, you actually can't see replies yet. So we're working on that super hard. But right now, it's kind of only like a broadcast out and get likes in moment. And then even this one, which is we can't guarantee posts get deleted. So I think this is kind of like a downside of the protocol that we're today, but I think it's important to kind of like let people know that if you post something and another server grabs a copy, we can't necessarily enforce that it gets deleted. But if that sounds good and you read all of our privacy policies and help centers, you can turn on the sharing. So you click this button, you get a nice little toast. And then this is the exciting part. So if you go to your profile, well, first of all, the row is updated. You have this pill now. So you get to see that like I have Fediverse sharing turned on and I can copy my username there. But I think what's exciting about this is it will become kind of an advertisement for who has sharing turned on. So say, Evan, I'm going to use your profile, that's okay. Here I see that Evan actually has Fediverse sharing turned on. And another thing we want to do is make it clear to you when something you do on Threads is going to broadcast to the Fediverse. So here, I have Fediverse sharing turned on, and Evan has Fediverse sharing turn on. So my reply will go to the Fediverse. So we want to make sure this is like understandable and you're not surprised by that behavior. So that's our opt-in flow. I have a few small things to demo. I'm 2:45 in, keeping track of time. So one thing, when you make a new post on Threads, we wait 5 minutes to send the post out to the Fediverse. So this little icon shows that it's in the queue kind of. So you have 5 minutes to like edit the post, to change your mind. But then when you refresh the post, it should be just a static icon. So that's that. And my post is on Mastodon, as you can see. And then two other quick things. So one, we do have quote posts on Threads. There's a big debate on how to represent quote posts. But one thing we did is we actually went to the community and saw kind of what the community thought. So Sebastian had this awesome blog post about Threads and kind of point out that we had this kind of like somewhat not great representation of quote posts. So what we did is we actually got a bunch of feedback from other Fediverse developers, and we did two things. We did one thing to kind of like add instant support for miskey, and we kind of had a version that's like more towards this like FEP around how to represent quote posts. So that's the JSON we have now. And quote posts in some softwares actually render like this today. So we kind of like have instant functionality, and we're kind of building for the future. And then the last thing is super small, but say you're on like a permalink of a post that's federated, as you can see the icon. We include a header in the JSON to the activity pub ID. So this is again a bit of kind of like quality of life thing we did based on feedback from people. So I have 45 seconds left. I think the last thing I'll say now is like, I know there's a ton of skepticism about Threads entering the Fediverse. It's completely understandable. But I do want to kind of like make a plea that I think everyone on the team has like really good intentions. We really want to be like a really good member of the community and give people the ability to experience what the Fediverse is and the power of open protocol. So I wish you all could sit on the team because we're really trying hard. We do have to work with a lot more stakeholders, so can't be quite as fast as some of the awesome startups we see here. But we really hope to be a good member of the community and really excited to be here. So thank you all.
Okay, some good takeaways there. I'm going to get into those in a second. But first, if this is interesting to you, absolutely go and watch the video. Here are the points that I want to highlight. First, public-facing accounts, meaning that you are not set to private, will have the ability to share to the Fediverse. If your account is set to private, then you can't. That makes sense. Also, Peter said that users will have a 5-minute window before posts go live in order to make any changes or edits, because Threads can't guarantee that a deleted Threads post is actually going to be deleted from the Fediverse. I'm sure there are technical issues on why that isn't a guarantee, but it makes sense, and that 5-minute window is a very good idea. I'm going to link to the video in the show notes so you can check it out for yourself. As always, thank you so much for listening, and be sure to come back next time for more social media news, strategy, or other things you need to know.
I'm not yet a member of the Instagram team, but my podcast covers many Instagram themes. But the name, image, logos are trademarks of Instagram and the LCC in the USA and every territory. Everything I publish independently until Zuck returns my DMs and starts to pay my salary. Not sponsored or endorsed, no lies, no fallacies. I use their logo with permission, not malicious or callously. No trademark violation, filling all criteria. Follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Daniel Hill Media.